Okay. So what we start with next is a very, very significant topic from, of course, learning point of view, definitely, understanding point of view, definitely, but more so from your exam point of view also. Okay. We have been hearing about machine learning, machine learning, machine learning. That machine learns. Okay, human also learns, machine also learns. Understood. And fine, that's okay, right? But then we need to dive in a little more deep into it, that what all kinds of learning does a machine do, and based on that uska features also vary, uska bhi levels hai, theek hai, types hai. So you need to understand that machine learning thing little more in detail. Basic understanding of machine learning remains the same, with different kinds of input, with different kind of categories of input. My system is drawing inferences, learning something. Okay. And at times designing its own algorithms, and designing its own programs and giving you the outputs accordingly. So you can see here that the machine learning is categorized into supervised, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. 3 categories. Okay. This side talks about the basic definition, you may say, of machine learning. It's a concept that allows the machine to learn from examples without being explicitly programmed. Now, this particular statement should be clear to you because I've given you that example where I said that the conventional programming setup is that I give him the process of solution. I give him the input, I give him the program, which is my process of solution. He gives me the output, right? But nowadays, with machine learning approach, what is happening is I give him the input as well as the output, but I don't give him the process. I tell him, you design the process for me. You design the algorithm. Sometimes he may go wrong with my things, but then that's how it works. That is why this term. It allows the machine to learn from the examples given. Okay? Without being explicitly programmed. By programmed here, I mean that I give him the code. That this is what you do to give me the output. Okay? That is a basic definition. So instead of writing the code, you feed in a generic algorithm that builds the logic based on the given data. Fine? You may give me a definition which is based on your understanding, no problem. But the basic message conveyed should be same. If you feel that remembering these terms is difficult for me. Okay? But there are certain things, of course, you have to mention, and the message being conveyed should be the same. That's machine learning. ठीक है, अब ये बात तो हमें समझ में आ गई. Let's talk about the types. Uh, this also is a diagram which gives you definitions, I would say. Difficult to understand from here. You may kind of, mug up the definition. So I'm taking you through the definition first, and then we actually dive into the example which will make your concept clear. Fine. So here we see supervised learning. I give the machine pre-labeled data. I tell him. Most commonest example which we use for this kind of a situation is, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a donkey, this is a lion, this is a tiger. I give him all these 4 pictures, different types of pictures of these 4 categories. And hence I call it a pre-labeled data. I labeled it himself. I told him, इस तरह का image है तो वो cat है, इस तरह का image है तो वो dog है. I gave him that. Okay. Accordingly, machine learns it. And then next time he is scanning a dog or a cat or a donkey or whatever an animal, he is able to tell me that, okay, this is this category of animal. So I'm giving him the pre-labeled data set. When I'm doing that, it is supervised learning. Okay. What kind of algorithms come under this categories? Classification and regression. Just remember the terms in the sense कि हाँ हमने कुछ ऐसा सुना है. We dive in deep into it. And rather in, I think, end of 11th or class 12, we have to do coding based on these algorithms also using Python. Okay. So fine. These 2 kind of algorithms are being used for it. Unsupervised is, I do not classify. I do not label that this is cat and this is dog and this is. I give him the whole set and he learns it himself. Sounds odd? I'll give you a diagrammatic representation of the same, which will make you understand. ठीक है? Basic difference याद रखो अभी. Supervise में I give him labeled data. I tell him this is Manbir, this is Vani, this is Isang, this is Bhuvan. So I've given him labeled data. Right? Unsupervised में I don't give him any labeling. I just provide him with the data. So वो खुद differentiate करता है. That these are girls or these are boys or whatever kind of thing you're trying to make him do. He does it himself. What kind of categorization of algorithm we talk about here? Clustering algorithm. वो खुद cluster बनाता है, grouping करता है. The best way to remember is he is doing grouping based on the features or based on the features only. Nothing else than that. Based on the features which may include shape, size, color. उसके basis पे वो clusters, groups perform कर रहा है, groups बना रहा है. ठीक है? And then telling you कि ठीक है, इस तरह का एक group है and this is this category. इस तरह का एक group है, this is this category. I may sound weird. We'll go into it, okay? So that's unsupervised learning. Supervised में I give him pre-labeled data set. Unsupervised में we give him a non-labeled data set, right? Reinforcement learning is like what you do in your school. I gave a test. मैम ने ये बोला ये ठीक है, ये गलत है, ये ठीक है, ये गलत है. So you remember. For every गलत you get a -1. For every correct you get a +1. So reinforcing कि ये +1s are the ones which are correct. And I learn from there. Okay. So based on right and wrong moves, which you will find majority in the case of games. Right move, wrong move. Chess के अंदर and other games also. So that is from there, from the points you're giving, rewards you're giving, recommendations you're giving, the system learns. Okay. That's reinforcement learning. Again, 3 basic terms के एग्जाम में कुछ याद नहीं आ रहा है, ये तो डिफरेंशिएशन में लिखना ही लिखना है. क्या? प्री-लेबल्ड डेटा सेट्स, क्लासिफिकेशन रिग्रेशन एल्गोरिथम. 2 पॉइंट्स मिल गए. 2 पॉइंट से ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं आएगा. ठीक है? अनसुपरवाइज में नॉन लेबल्ड एंड क्लस्टरिंग एल्गोरिथम. रीइंफोर्समेंट में इट्स बेस्ड ऑन रिवॉर्ड्स एंड recommendations. Right? Okay. So this is how the difference works.
Ma'am, can you post the class 10 PDF also in the GCR?
Okay. Will that be of help? इतना पढ़ पाओगे?
मैम थोड़ी वो ऊपर ऊपर से समझा देगी.
Okay. ठीक है. No problem. I will post class 10 material also, but please don't ask me much in that because this year the syllabus has changed.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you ask me कि मैम इसके PPTs भी दे दो, तो I don't have it. I have to ask from Meetu ma'am for that. Meetu ma'am and Harpreet ma'am who are teaching current 10th. Because this year they have changed the class 10 syllabus and there's quite a major change. So I'll put the updated booklet only. Will that be better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll do that. No problem. Fine, let's move on to now the detailed understanding of it. Or actually you'll realize कि ये तो बहुत ही simple है. I gave the machine, in the case of supervised learning, all the photos of the apples and I told him these are apples. Okay. I gave him all the photos of the oranges and I told him these are my oranges. I gave him a set of photos of pear and I told him these are pears. Okay. I gave him the labeled data set. Now when I give him a fruit, so he will be able to differentiate. Of course, उसके पास वो data होना चाहिए. I mean, अगर आपने उसको apple, pear और orange दिखाया और train किया, and then you are showing him a papaya, of course, he will not be able to give you the correct answer. Your training is not appropriate then. That's what we say. Right? But if you show him anything out of apple, oranges and pear, then he will do the correct analysis. Okay? Next class, we'll do an example based on, a practical example based on this thing, which will make the concept very, very clear. It's a small app, a game kind of a thing. Actually, it turns out to be a game only. Teachable machine karke. Some of you must have done it also. So there you can see that how do I give him the labeled set, then I train the model and then I test it. And you will see almost it is correct if your training is good. अब तुमने उसको एक ही साइड का एप्पल दिखाया और एक दो फोटोज दिए, similarly for the other fruits also, then he may not be able to differentiate. अगर वो थोड़ा सा color change होगा या shape shape तो खैर apple का change नहीं होता, but maybe some other different angle of the apple you show to him later, he will not be able to differentiate because the learning is not being done properly.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So that is what my supervised algorithm, learning algorithm works like. So the step says you provide the system with data that contains photos of apples and other fruits and tell him that these are apples. So that is how I call it a labeled data set. The model learns from the labeled data set, and next time you ask to identify an apple, he would be able to do it. If his learning has been good. If his learning is not appropriate, then he will be confused. उसको समझ नहीं आ रहा कि एप्पल है कि नहीं. So ये चीज बहुत अच्छे से comes out when you do a teachable machine example. Right? Okay. Next one, unsupervised. Same with fruits we are doing. But then now what I'm doing is I'm giving a mix of pictures to him. Apples also. मैंने उसको कुछ ये नहीं बोला कि ये apple है, ये pear है, ये papaya है. I just give him pictures. I keep on giving him pictures, 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 pictures of all sorts of fruits. Right? You can see it here. Multiple categories of fruits are there, which is my input. Now, what the machine has done is he finds a pattern. Obviously, the shape of an apple and a pear differs, or an apple and a papaya differs, or an apple and a grape differs. Right? So, he is able to, he finds the pattern in the data.
Ma'am, but I have a question, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what if apple is raw and we also give him a picture of a green apple?
Of course, it'll be a problem. He might not be able to differentiate, but let me tell you, he is color specific also.
Ma'am, that's why, ma'am, I said yellow apple which is raw. So it's a basic red apple which is raw. So it's basically yellow. And green apple is also like a hint of yellow.
Almost,
Yes.
yeah. So he'll get confused. That's what, he'll get confused.
Okay.
He will get confused, no doubt. Rather, why would you say machine getting confused, Manveer? I will also get confused. If you keep a raw apple or what you're saying, a little yellowish greenish apple in front of me, and you ask me, ma'am, ये बताइए green apple है या normal apple है? So I would say, पता नहीं, because it's looking like green also, but not completely normal ripe apple also. So I don't know.
मैम कोई एडवांस्ड मॉडल भी नहीं बता पाएगा ना.
What others have to say about it? Sisang, what do you have to say? Bhuban, what do you have to say? Mani, what do you have to say? What do you think? Any advanced model जो कि बता पाए इस चीज को? Do you think? Yes, actually, if I take that apple to a granny of the house or to the mother of the house who has been buying fruits and vegetables for years, that person might be able to differentiate. So
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? So if you kind of, yes, Bhuvan, you are absolutely correct. You have to keep on giving him more data. That's what Bhuvan is also saying. Input data is constantly updated, and more data means more intelligence. Because your
Yes.
granny and grandmother has experienced इस तरह के apples भी, so they would be able to differentiate. Maybe I cannot, because I'm not from a background where I've seen all sorts of categories of apples. They are too good, if you see your elders in the house, they are just too good. वो हाथ लगा के देख के बोल देते हैं कि ये fruit मीठा होगा कि नहीं होगा.
Yes, ma'am.
But we can't. So of course, if you have trained your model well, if you have been training your model very well, he would develop that intelligence.
Or ma'am, we can just make a model that would even like catch the slightest of the green hint of the apple in the green apple.
Yes, that's what is the training, na? If you
Yes,
give him
ma'am.
multiple images of those hinted apples also, tinted apples also,
Yes,
he
ma'am.
would categorize it automatically separate. वो red apples के साथ उसको नहीं रखेगा, है ना?
Yes,
He
ma'am.
will categorize it differently, right? So that is how. Step 1, you provide the system with data that contains photos of different kinds of fruits and ask it to segregate. ये segregation जो हम कह रहे हैं is happening with my clustering algorithm. Remember, in case of unsupervised learning, you don't need to provide the labeled data, right? Step 2, the system will look for patterns in the data, patterns like shape, color, size, and then group the fruits based on those attributes. जितना ज्यादा उसको उस तरह का चीज दिया जाएगा, वो ग्रुपिंग उतना करेक्ट आएगा.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Understood? इसमें गलती नहीं होना है. ये डेफिनेट क्वेश्चन एग्जाम पेपर में of all sorts, MCQs also, and explain a detailed example, a detailed explanation question also.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? So This is it. Moving on to the third one now. That is reinforcement learning. I have really not been able to find a very good, like मैं आपको teachable के through supervised unsupervised का difference तो समझ में आ जाएगा. Supervised तो बहुत ही अच्छे से आ जाएगा. And then you can differentiate it with the unsupervised learning mechanism also. Reinforcement learning ka I as of now don't have a very good practical real life app where I can show you. Okay, I'm searching on it, and you also tell me if you can give me some example of that. So gaming is there, but I want a more appropriate one where I can actually explain that thing very well to you. So I'm working on it, but then whenever I'm having something, I'll definitely add on to that. I add on to what we have done today. So reinforcement learning, what is happening? The machine is not given examples of correct input-output pairs because this kind of a learning is little different. Hai. What it is being given is the measure performance. Measure your performance with a form of reward or punishment. So, I mean, actually, isko, I can explain you by this thing.
मैम मैग्नीट्यूड दिया हुआ है.
Again, magnitude might be a difficult term to digest at times. I'll give you another thing. Isko dekho, if you can make out, am I going correct or not? You people are very, very sharp enough to, find out these things. Much better than our old brains. You are the AI generation. Actually, hum to seekh rahe hain. You're born in it. Okay. Supposingly, I'm saying that when ma'am is teaching you, anybody, when ma'am is teaching you, she tells you the correct answer. Does she tell you always, every time, हमेशा possible नहीं होता, all the combination of wrong answers also?
No, ma'am.
है ना? कुछ चीजें बोल सकते हैं. Like I do it very specifically because when we go for checking, we know the major mistakes which a child does for a particular category of person.
Yes, ma'am.
ये मत करना, ठीक है? इसमें ये गलती हो जाती है. Be careful about that, है ना? So you cannot really give him a for this particular input, ये mistakes हो सकते हैं. You cannot really do that, right? That's what it's saying. A machine is not given examples of correct input-output pairs. हमेशा वो possible नहीं है. But a method is provided to the machine to measure its performance in the form of a reward or punishment. So you go correct, he gives you a +1. You go wrong, he gives you a -1.
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है? I can at this moment explain you to this extent only. Real life example is of games. Real life example is of the way a machine might do checking of papers, right? वहाँ पे it is based on your rewards and punishment. अगर machine एक AI based machine है, not an automated tool जो paper check करता है, an AI based machine है, तो he will do a reinforcement learning in that. And he may draw inferences from there कि ये category of input output गलत pairs हैं. जब वो सारी checking कर चुका होगा, 10,000 बच्चों के papers में. So he can come to that kind of conclusion. Right? So this is what it is. From the environment, the agent is observing. He's picking up the rewards and accordingly taking the actions. Reward agar mila hai, to I'm going in the right direction. Punishment mila hai, to I'm going in the wrong direction. Accordingly, I learn. We are talking in terms of learning only, nothing else. Right? So supervised way of learning, unsupervised way of learning, and reinforcement way of learning. I'll just take one more example. I know you've understood it very well, but still, like a child. Yes, Sonam, I'm giving you an example what I think will make you understand better. Like a child is a small baby, I show him an apple. I say, beta, this is apple, this is pear, this is ball, this is bat. I show it to him and keep on telling him, ball लेके आओ, तो वो जाएगा और जाके बैट और बॉल में से बॉल ही उठा के लाएगा, बैट नहीं लाएगा. ठीक है? तो उसको हमने कुछ केसेस के लिए उसको हमने सुपरवाइज लर्निंग दिया. मेजॉरिटी केसेस में बच्चे को हम लोग सुपरवाइज लर्निंग देते हैं. वी शो हिम द पिक्चर, नो, वी हैव पिक्चर बुक्स फॉर हिम. तो पिक्चर में दिखा के वी टेल हिम कि ये बस है, ये स्कूटर है, ये ऑटो है, ये ट्रेन है, ये एरोप्लेन है. इट्स अ लेबल डेटा सेट आई एम डूइंग. I'm telling him the picture. I'm showing him the picture. I'm telling him the tag associated. Right? That's one kind of learning he is doing. Second category of learning is I give him a group of blocks of different shapes and sizes, different colors. With time, you will find that the child is able to differentiate among the colors and the shapes, और उसको वो group कर पाता है. वो
Yes,
एक
ma'am.
है ना, this is also kind of a game you can play with a child. We do those things also. From those set of blocks, huge set of blocks what I've given him, he is able to make, maybe उसका he loves green very much, तो वो सारे green color के boxes उसमें से blocks उसमें से निकाल लेगा. And then he may set all the round boxes at the end, or all the square boxes at the end, with the rectangular boxes at the top, and at most these circular boxes, half circle boxes at the top. He will be able to do that. So if he is able to do it, he has done an unsupervised learning also. Do I make some sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sonam, do I make some sense? You just asked about it, beta. Just show me a thumbs up. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Now we move on to the third. अब एक चाइल्ड को हम लोग रोक देते हैं when he tries to put his finger into the plug point and we say no, I'll give you a tight slap if you do it again. What's that? ये ना लेबल है ना ये अनसुपरवाइज्ड है. Either of the two
Ma'am,
categories नहीं है.
ma'am, this will be reinforcement
This
learning.
will be reinforcement learning, है ना. तो हमें अपने मशीन को, see what are we trying to do, कि कितने तरह के लर्निंग एक ह्यूमन बीइंग पिक कर रहा है ना. वो बच्चे को हम छोटे सा चीजें लर्न कराते हैं, वो स्कूल भी जाता है तो हम उसको बोलते हैं नो, ऐसा नहीं करना, यस चलो ये गुड थिंग. एंड इफ इज डूइंग समथिंग गुड, आई से यस, गुड, वेरी गुड, I clap for that child. So the child knows that, okay, this is a rewarding situation for me. And certain things which I'm saying, no, you're not supposed to do it, this is not supposed to be done, I'll be punished for it. He understands that, right? So that is how I have to make my machine learn in these three types of categories, whether it is labeled or supervised as we call it, whether it's unlabeled or unsupervised as we call it, or we call it a reinforcement learning. This is the best example I could give for reinforcement as of now. Okay? Practically. If you ask me an AI app for it, I don't have an example as of now. You also research, I'll also research about it. But is the difference
Okay.
of the three learning clear? This is very, very significant. Just show me the thumbs up. I am just kind of doing a tiled view of you all, and I want to see the thumbs up that yes, you are with me and you have understood. Everybody. Devansh, Roman, Padma, is saying Ahana, Shaurya, good. Very good. Sonam, great. Divij. Okay. Hui, is it fine? Both my Samsungs, I don't know you by your name. Hope it's clear. It's very, very significant because that's the basic fundamental of machine learning, which we have to understand. Right? Moving further. Deep learning. Now, this is really very deep. We never understand it in one go. When we started studying, we also took multiple sessions to understand what exactly is deep learning and neural networks. And we do have portions in 11th, we do have portions in 12th, which takes you deep step by step. So let's do a first level of superficial understanding of what is deep learning and neural networks, right? They are entangled together. If you see the diagram which I was talking about, which is AI, within which we have machine learning, within which we have deep learning. So deep learning वाले area में ही आपका neural पड़ता है, right? So deep learning is inspired from the human brain and the neurons in the human brain. We all are people who have just now passed class 10th and studied science and biology. You have studied about neurons, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. I have studied it long back, but you are the fresh ones who studied it. So it's basically the way my neurons work, the way my neurons have been designed. They are really trying to work in that direction. Not achieved to that extent, but they are saying that with time they would be able to achieve that kind of a machine, which can interpret a human, which can work in the way a human brain actually works. Okay, so it is inspired from the human brain and the neurons in the human brain. Therefore, to understand deep learning, we have to first understand what are neurons. So brain neurons are basically what they are calling, talking about here. Now, ANN, which is my artificial neural network, can be described as layers of software units called neurons. Now, just see this diagram. Multiple inputs are coming, different inputs are coming, and they are passing through various layers. जहाँ पे they are being transformed, वो combine कर रहा है अलग अलग तरीके से and different layers के through pass कर रहा है, different situations के through pass कर रहा है, and then ultimately giving you the output. So the basic structure of a deep learning setup or an artificial neural network setup is what the diagram shows you. You have an input layer, you have a hidden layer, which is actually multiple, and it's hidden. Just user doesn't see it, and there's an output layer, of course. So you provide them with the inputs and you get the output. In between the hidden layer, you have multiple hidden layers, multiple kind of work is being done at that place. Okay? So ANN can be described as layers of software units called neurons, also called nodes, connected with different neurons in a layered manner. These networks transform data from one neuron to the another neuron, like एक layer से दूसरे layer पे जा रहा है, until they classify it as my output. So different layers के through it is able to transform the data, what you want, accordingly convert it into a output. The neural network is again a technique to build a computer program that learns from the data. वो एक एक इनपुट को देखो हर एक नोड पे जा रहा है. Can you see that? It's going to every node. And from there it is making up some kind of inferences. Further on giving it to the next layer. Further on giving it to the next layer. Ultimately coming to the output. Okay. So here we talk about, the structure talks about these three layers: input, hidden, and output. Hidden layer, why do we call it hidden actually? Because there's no connection or what we say, the user can't see this particular layer. That's why we call it hidden. And it's not only one layer, it is multiple layers. Okay. And this is the place where we say the computation of the processing is happening. वो उसको completely process कर रहा है. Your brain also, it takes some input. I see something in front of me, and before you say something on that input, what your eyes has seen, what your skin has felt, what your feet has felt, before you say something about that situation, there's multiple processing happening in your brain. We don't really think in that regard. We don't really analyze a situation like this. But अगर आप उसको एक simple सा चीज सोचो, you are out in the rain. Right, you are out in the rain. You have an umbrella also. You have your proper slippers also. You have everything. You have all the gears too. But you see, you are moving. Suppose from your home to your bus stop. So in the morning when you're moving out, your brain is taking the input of the weather, of the humidity level, of the airflow, breeze, of the things your feet is touching on the ground. And साथ साथ तुम्हारा ब्रेन कुछ उसको प्रोसेस भी कर रहा है. कुछ सोच रहा है, कुछ कुछ उस चीज को प्रोसेस कर रहा है. And then ultimately maybe you speak to your friend about it when you reach the bus. आज ऐसा हुआ, ये देखा, ये सोचा, that kind of thing. So that is what it is trying to say, that it is not a single path which the brain follows. The brain is taking multiple inputs because वो देख भी रहा है, वो feel भी कर रहा है, वो वहां से inferences भी draw कर रहा है immediately and further going on. The brain works very fast. It's not a slow process. Right? So that is what they are trying to tell you, that ये चीज हम लोग construct करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं in the case of a neural network. A very difficult task, but yes, a lot of things are happening. With times to come, you will have better machines with this kind of an ability. Okay. So as of now, I am again saying we are doing it at a very superficial level. We just understand that my neural network, an artificial neural network structure, talks about three layers. There's an input coming in. Input might be coming in for vision. Input might be coming in from the data science. Input might be coming in from a friend who is walking next to you and speaking constantly something. That is also an input. आप ear से उसको सुन रहे हो, language को process कर रहे हो. So, we again come back to my domain. I am taking inputs from my vision. I'm taking inputs from the NLP. Somebody is talking to me. I'm listening to the news simultaneously. मैंने headphones लगा रखे, I'm listening to the news simultaneously or the cricket score simultaneously. So some kind of a language processing is happening. Some kind of a analysis of my yesterday's evening experience when I played football in the rain. That's there in my mind. So all these things are coming as an input to my neural network. Then my network is processing the data at different multiple layers. It's processing it and then finally giving you an output. Okay, the processing is happening in the hidden layers, in the hidden nodes as we call it, and they are multiple in layers. Input layer single hota hai, output layer single hota hai, but your hidden layers are multiple, where the actual processing happens. And we don't even realize how much processing my brain does every second. I'm not even talking about every hour. Every second, our brain processes a lot of things. Okay, so this is what is our focus when I talk about deep learning and neural networks, artificial neural networks, because of course it is not a natural thing we are talking about. It's artificial neural networks only. Finishing it with the basic difference of machine learning, deep learning, because wahan pe bhi we are saying learning to some extent. In deep learning also, I'm talking about learning. So what's the difference? Again, an exam point of view question. Okay. It takes time to digest all this. It takes time to really understand all this with more reading, with more examples, with more practicals. It will take time to seep in. So don't worry if it is you feel कि कुछ समझ में आया, ma'am, सब कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. Very well understood. But just taking up the points of difference, because after all we have to give an exam and a UT and everything. So machine learning, when we say, of course, we have been talking about machine learning में बहुत सारा data हम उसको देते हैं, but it is lesser than the deep learning data which we are talking about. So small amount of data set for accuracy. In deep learning, we are working with huge in multiple times of machine learning data set. Utne level mein it's multiple. Okay, dependent on low end machines, because the if I talk about just in terms of storage, so maybe a machine learning setup ke liye, the kind of storage you need, which will be much lesser than the kind of storage and processing ability of the system you need for a deep learning setup, because वहाँ पे processing computation बहुत ज़्यादा है as compared to machine learning. In the case of machine learning, the task is divided up into subtasks and solve them individually and then combining into the result. But in the case of deep learning, as my brain works, it takes up an issue and solves it end to end, input to solution, pura ka pura is being done. That's my deep learning. Of course, machine learning में data कम है, तो less time for training, though it is quite a lot if you think in those terms, but less time because it's I'm talking in terms, in reference to deep learning. In reference to deep learning, my working set for machine learning is smaller, hence lower end machines can work, hence takes less time to train, hence testing time may increase because training time कम है. ये भी एक बहुत मजेदार concept है of testing and training. Again, we have to do them in Python programming also, and train test split of the data. This is a very significant thing. So we do it in detail in the coming classes also, right? So this is all in reference to, I'm talking about the machine learning points in reference to deep learning. Okay, if you see individually machine learning, you may not say that it works on very small data. Data set काफी बड़ा होता है machine learning का भी. Otherwise machine respond ही नहीं करेगा ठीक से. But when you talk about in reference to deep learning, of course, it is lesser. Similarly, in terms of the processing ability of the machine, in terms of storage, in terms of training time, in terms of testing time. Now, do you think training time and testing time are reversely proportional? जहां मैंने बोला training time is less, testing time बढ़ जाएगा. Deep learning में training time is longer, testing time less होगा. आपने अच्छे से पढ़ाई करी है तो टेस्ट देने में आपको टाइम नहीं लगेगा, आपने थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ाई करा है तो आपको टेस्ट देने में टाइम लगेगा, बाय दैट लॉजिक। ओके, सो दिस इज इन रेफरेंस टू ईच अदर। डीप लर्निंग को भी बोला जा रहा है इन रेफरेंस टू मशीन लर्निंग, मशीन लर्निंग को बोला जा रहा है इन रेफरेंस टू डीप लर्निंग। Right, lot of concepts done today, lot of talking done by me. Now it's your time to really dive into the chapter. Is overall done, chapter 1. I know something which I would take maybe 15 days in a classroom situation. We have done it in almost 3 sessions. So that's how it works for 6 of the students. Okay, so just go through the documentation which it's there in the group. I've added to you the main group only, so that you're not left out with anything. So it's there. I'll check it up again because I've added certain things in this PPT also. So I'll update the PPT again in the group. Okay, join the GCR. Every material is there. Don't buy any book as of now. वैसे material बहुत है for you to digest. इतना पढ़ के समझ लो, कर लो practically, enough. Okay. Little bit from next class onwards, I'll start with Python. If you are, somebody who has already done it, for them it might be a little redundant, but I have to cater to students who have not done Python at all. So I'll go from the basics. I'll forward you certain videos which you can go through. For those who are going to do it for the first time, it'll be little helpful. They're my recorded videos only, class recordings. So I'll introduce and then I'll give you those to practice throughout the week. Thoda time devote karo. I'm not saying lot, but little bit of course is required. Fine. Now you tell me that the way, the speed I'm following, is it fine or not?